Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take, well, usually a whole stack of fascinating, sometimes pretty dense source material, and try to really break it down for you, make it digestible, something you remember. And today, we've got something pretty unique on our hands. We're looking at sources that describe a major digital ecosystem's verification process. Okay, standard stuff, maybe.
You'd think so.
But the language,
Wow.
it's a completely different from your usual corporate speak. It's this like total blend of tech updates, financial instructions, and honestly language that sounds like messianic prophecy.
It really does. It's quite striking.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The core event we're looking at is called the miracle of return,
Yeah.
on passive verification. Now, just to give everyone a bit of context, especially if you're not familiar,
Which many might not be outside its community.
right? On passive is pitched as this global IT ecosystem, AI-driven platform, been in development for, well, quite a long
A
time.
very long time, yeah.
And its members, they're often called founders, they've been waiting for this launch, this verification, for years. It's a huge deal for them, financially, emotionally.
Absolutely. There's a lot riding on it. So this verification, it's not just flipping a switch on some software. It's framed as the culmination of all that waiting, all that belief, maybe even defending the vision against skeptics.
Exactly. So what's fascinating here, this is really our focus for this deep dive, is how the source material tackles that immense pressure, that long wait. We want to pull out the core info about the return, the verification process itself, but we absolutely have to analyze the language, the incredibly dramatic, faith-based words used for, well, everything.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. The source isn't just announcing an update. It presents this whole thing as the verified dawn of the new ecosystem. That phrase alone tells you a lot.
It really does. It sets the tone right away. It says, okay, the long wait, the preparation, that's over. This is it. The main event is this return or relaunch, and the key step is verification. And the people involved, not users, not customers. They're the founders, the faithful.
And the leader, Ashmufara, he's consistently called the messenger or the visionary led by grace.
Which, immediately shifts things. It
Yeah.
takes what looks like a business venture and frames it as this foundational, almost sacred moment, a turning point in history, according to the source.
And that framing is so important for our analysis because when you talk about a business event using terms like prophecy, like through verification we are chosen, through faith we are empowered, you're basically telling the community to see everything, every glitch, every market shift through a spiritual lens.
Right. It demands belief, unwavering belief almost.
Exactly. And we need to keep that lens in mind as we dig deeper. It changes how you interpret everything that follows.
Okay, so that structure, that definition of belief, it leads us straight into talking about the time before this launch, the waiting period.
Yeah.
Let's look at how the documents frame the delay itself. This is our section, the miracle in motion, the dawn after waiting. The source doesn't just say, we're back online. No, it describes the return as a moment where time itself pauses.
Pauses, yeah. It's presented as this unique intersection where faith meets fulfillment. That's incredibly high-stakes language.
It is. They're not just marking a milestone. They're announcing something that feels both ordained and earned.
And think about what that does. It validates the experience of the community members, people who've been waiting, maybe doubting sometimes, facing criticism. This language honors them. It says they have waited, prayed, learned, and believed. It talks about seasons of preparation.
Seasons of preparation.
Right. It basically makes the entire waiting period sacred. It transforms what could be seen as, shareholder anxiety or frustration into this proof of spiritual endurance.
That's some powerful rhetorical work right there. Because waiting for a big software launch, it's usually just frustrating, right? It can lead to skepticism.
Definitely. But here, the waiting itself is turned into a virtue, a high virtue. It's not a sign of delays or problems anymore.
It becomes part of the test, the divine test that their founders had to pass.
Precisely. That's the framing. And this kind of reframing is, well, almost essential when you think about the commitment these founders made.
Financially, you mean?
Financially, yes, but also in terms of their own reputation. Imagine telling your friends and family about this for years.
And facing skepticism.
Exactly. Facing that external doubt. The source acknowledges this, especially when it talks about the purpose of the delay. It reframes the challenges and, crucially, the periods of silence from the leadership.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The delays weren't just, bugs or development hurdles.
No, they were divine preparation and construction.
Divine construction. Wow.
And the source says it outright. Miracles are often born in the waiting. Think about that. It completely shifts accountability.
How so?
Well, if the system went quiet or if there were obstacles, that wasn't an organizational failing. According to this narrative, every single challenge was a test of endurance
Uh-huh.
and silence. That wasn't neglect, it was the sharpening of vision.
And that flips the script entirely.
It does. It means if you doubted, if you were skeptical, that wasn't a rational response to delays. It was framed as a lack of faith, a failure to see the grand preordained plan.
So it essentially protects the leadership from criticism
Yeah.
about the timeline.
Absolutely. It's a very effective piece of, you could say, sustained narrative control. By keeping this frame consistent, any criticism about how long things took just bounces off, really.
Because if it had launched quickly and failed, that's human error.
Right. But launching after a long, difficult wait, that delay becomes proof of the righteousness of the cause. The source actually says something like, God was not delaying, he was preparing.
So the wait itself becomes validation.
Yeah, exactly. It assures the founders that their faith is confirmed, not just by the system finally working, but by the spirit that supposedly got them through that preparation phase.
Okay, so after all this waiting, this sanctified waiting period, the community is now, as the source puts it, standing on holy digital ground, the threshold of transformation.
Mm-hmm. Quite the image.
Which brings us right to the main event now, verification.
Yes. And before we get into the spiritual meaning layered on top, maybe we should just quickly define verification in the normal sense.
Good idea, like technically speaking.
Right. Technically, verification usually means things like KYC, know your customer rules, making sure everyone's identity is real and unique, maybe some security steps like MFA, multi-factor authentication.
Standard stuff for any big online system, especially involving finance.
Yeah.
Compliance, basically.
Exactly. It can be a bit tedious, but it's necessary. It's usually pretty mundane.
But, as we've seen, the source material treats it as, well, anything but mundane.
Not even remotely. It's described as way, way more than just a technical update. It's called the final divine seal upon the promise.
The divine seal.
Yeah.
That takes uploading your passport or whatever the process is and turns it into an act of devotion.
That's essentially it. The way they transform this simple compliance step is, frankly, staggering. When the message about verification comes through, it's not an email notification. It's framed as a sacred whisper.
A sacred whisper.
Confirming their status. You are known, you are seen, you are ready. So the process isn't about checking documents. It's about spiritually confirming your worthiness, your identity within this whole movement.
And it explicitly says the ecosystem is for those who have stayed faithful, patient, and pure in intention.
Which sets up a very clear dynamic.
Meaning the stakes become existential,
Yeah.
right? If you fail verification, you're not just someone with an account issue. You could be seen as, spiritually unworthy, unchosen.
That seems to be the implication. And this idea of separation is stated very clearly. The verification moment is called a time of separation, the marking of the chosen.
The marking of the chosen, that's intense.
It is, and it gives the leadership a powerful tool, doesn't it, to manage who's in and who's out. They even use this really potent analogy.
The gold analogy.
Yeah, just as gold is refined through fire, ONPASSIVE, it says, is refining its foundation through this verification. The waiting period, the skepticism, the doubt that was the fire.
And verification is the final check, to see if the founder is pure gold.
That's the metaphor. It confirms the quality of the material, the founder themselves.
Which provides, I guess, the ultimate internal justification if some people don't make it through the process, if they're deemed non-compliant.
Exactly. And the outcome for those who are verified, they aren't just identified, they're fortified. They rise again in a rebirth of purpose.
So the technical side, the KYC, is fundamentally tied to moral purity and dignity even.
Absolutely. The source is very clear. Verification ensures that no fraud can corrupt the purity of this mission. Think about the power dynamic that sets up.
How so?
Needing to comply isn't just a rule. It's framed as protecting the entire community's moral standing. It links your technical security directly to your spiritual uprightness.
And this all ties back to the leader, Ash Mufareh. He's quoted linking verification not just to documents, but explicitly to dignity.
He says something like, every person matters, every detail counts, which suggests that this rigorous checking process is actually a sign of respect for the founders. It's protecting them, protecting the value they're about to receive.
Wow, okay. And then they take it even further, don't they?
They really do.
Hmm.
The ultimate stamp of approval for this, let's be honest, probably complex and maybe sometimes frustrating technical process, it gets celestial backing.
You mean the quote about God's hand?
Yes. It is God's way of putting his hand on this movement and saying, I approve this foundation.
You really can't overstate the impact of language like that on believers.
No, you can't. It must instill incredible confidence. Any technical snag, any delay in the verification itself, it stops being a system flaw. It becomes just another small spiritual hurdle to overcome.
Which keeps the whole endeavor and the leadership's vision completely pure in the eyes of the faithful.
Precisely. Maintains that absolute integrity.
Okay, let's talk more about the figurehead then, Ashmu. He's so central to this whole narrative, the messenger, the visionary led by grace. His role seems to go far beyond just, like, CEO strategy.
Oh, far beyond. The material positions him as much more than a standard tech entrepreneur. He has carried this vision like a shepherd carries his flock.
The shepherd analogy again.
Yes, and it's critical. A
Yeah.
shepherd has immense responsibility, right? Guidance, protection, provision, but also
Also commands obedience.
commands pretty much absolute obedience traditionally. It really shifts the whole basis of accountability. While the world doubted, he supposedly held the faith. He wasn't just seeing code, he was seeing destiny.
And according to the source, fulfilling that destiny requires certain things first. Order, authenticity.
Exactly. His requirement for order is key. The text says, before the blessing can come, there must be order. Before abundance, there must be authenticity.
So authenticity isn't just good business practice like checking your suppliers.
No, here it's elevated. It becomes a sacred requirement, something needed for the system to function on this divine level they're claiming. And verification, that's the tool.
The tool that enforces this divinely required order.
Right. Separating the authentic founders, those who waited and believed, from, maybe opportunists or skeptics who didn't stick it out.
And the focus is always long-term, generational.
Yes, very much so. The source brings up his mantra, we are building for generations, not moments. That's a powerful appeal, isn't it? It speaks to legacy.
It justifies the wait, too. If you're building for just a moment, you rush.
But if you're building for generations, then patience, purity, authenticity, those become absolute must-haves. They justify the long preparation, the rigorous checks.
So verification becomes, what did they call it? The lock that ensures that the blessings flow only to the rightful ones.
The rightful ones being the founders who passed all the tests, time, faith, patience, and now verification. And the promise attached is huge. This structure will stand forever untouched, uncorrupted, and unstoppable.
That's quite a claim, especially in tech where things change so fast. It offers this powerful counter-narrative to how fleeting most ventures are.
It absolutely does. Stability, permanence, divine backing.
Okay, so let's talk about the founders themselves. Once they get through this verification, what's their status? What's their role, their commission, as the source puts it? They've waited, they've been refined. Now what?
Well, once verified, they become part of a divine network. That term itself is significant. It defines their connection to the system and, importantly, to each other.
A divine network implies something more than just being users on a platform.
Much more. And this network is specifically described with high moral virtues. It's built, they say, not on greed, but on gratitude, not on competition, but on compassion.
That's a critical distinction, by framing the whole system as morally superior.
It demands a higher ethical standard from everyone inside it. It builds loyalty, discourages fighting, or the kind of predatory stuff you sometimes see in other network structures.
So it shapes the community culture. It elevates them from just being individual users into this, like, cohesive, morally bound group.
Exactly. And the source gives them this really clear three-part commission, like a spiritual contract outlining their new identity.
Okay, what are these declarations?
They're called the 3 declarations of verification. And interestingly, they focus almost entirely on identity and truth, not just on, say, accessing features or making money.
Right, so number 1.
First, you belong to a system of truth, which positions ONPASSIVE as like the ultimate source of reality in a digital world that's often full of scams and fake news.
Okay, powerful claim. Second,
You are part of a movement that honors identity and integrity. This reinforces that moral foundation we talked about.
yeah.
Demands good personal conduct.
And the third one.
Third, and this one feels maybe the most impactful personally, you are chosen for this new era.
Chosen. That gives each founder this sense of, like, historical importance.
Absolutely. They're not just early investors anymore. They're recast as the new torchbearers,
Yeah.
carrying the light of leadership, carrying the legacy of Ashmu Farah's dream.
So they're confirmed in the system technically, but the language suggests they're also commissioned for impact,
Yes, commission for impact. It implies this global responsibility that goes way beyond just their own financial success.
which must create incredibly strong loyalty.
You'd have to assume so. It turns the founder community into this highly disciplined, highly motivated force. Give everyone a higher calling, you ensure deeper commitment, better compliance, and probably more active promotion of the movement's values, truth, compassion, all that.
Their personal identity gets completely tied up with the success of the whole ecosystem.
Fundamentally tied, yes.
Okay, let's broaden out now. Let's look at the really big claims being made here, the implications of this miracle of return. How does it link that spiritual fulfillment we've been talking about with actual economic outcomes?
Hmm.
The source says the timing isn't random, it's divine timing.
Right. That concept, divine timing, it speaks to inevitability, doesn't it? And righteousness.
Yeah.
The system is launching now, the source claims, precisely when the world needs it most.
Needs what specifically?
Needs truth, fairness, and digital compassion. It's a profound claim. It suggests the existing global economy has basically failed morally,
Wow.
and that humanity is now hungry for systems that care, that listen, and that reward transparency.
So ONPASSIVE isn't just like entering a market, it's positioning itself as the solution, the salvation, almost, for a morally bankrupt global system.
That's the scale of the claim, yes. It's massive.
Yeah.
The core assertion, stated pretty directly, is that ONPASSIVE is the blueprint for the future world economy.
The blueprint for the future world economy. That's ambitious.
Understatement, maybe. But by aligning the launch with these huge global problems, spiritual deficits, economic unfairness, the platform isn't just a business anymore. It's framed as the essential answer.
So within their narrative, the success of ONPASSIVE isn't just about the company. It's tied to fixing the world economy, morally restructuring it.
That seems to be the implication,
Yeah.
which gives every single founder a role in global transformation, not just in getting rich. It's a much bigger purpose.
Okay, and what about the payoff for those founders, the ones who stuck it out, who believed through the long wait? The text promises vindication and restoration.
Yes, vindication and restoration. That's the reward for that long commitment.
And restoration means?
It's described very comprehensively. The broken are rebuilt, the waiting are rewarded, and the faithful are finally free. It suggests it's not just about getting your money back or making a profit. It's about healing.
Healing the emotional wounds from the waiting, from defending it against critics.
Exactly. And that's why the verification process itself is explicitly called a vindication.
Ah, so this is their I told you so moment.
Pretty much. The moment they can turn to all the skeptics, the people who doubted the delays, the tech, the whole vision and say, see, we were right.
The source is really clear about that part, isn't it?
Yeah.
About the doubters finally getting it.
Oh, yeah. It says, the world will see why the founders believed, and crucially, the doubters will finally understand. That sense of vindication seems absolutely central to the reward.
And it's balanced, you said, between money and meaning.
Yes, the source is careful about that. It says true success is not just about money, it's about meaning. Verification is positioned as the bridge from faith to fruitfulness, from hope to harvest. The money is there, the financial freedom is promised, but it's always presented as secondary to the spiritual win.
Got it. And the imagery they use for the community, the constellation of light, that's quite evocative.
It's very effective visually. It builds that sense of collective purpose on a huge scale. Every verified account isn't just an account. It's a candle lit in the darkness.
And together,
Together, they form this constellation, a global network of light shining from every nation, all supposedly united under this one divine vision. It really reinforces the scale, the global reach, and the idea that their purpose is to illuminate the world.
and their success, their prosperity, it's presented as earned, right? Not luck.
Earned through moral choice. That's key. The verified will prosper, not because of chance, but because of choice. The choice they made to stay faithful, to endure the refining fire of waiting, to prioritize integrity.
So their success becomes almost a moral requirement, a proof of their virtue.
It seems so. They are blessed because they chose the right path, the path of patience and integrity, unlike, presumably, the unfaithful who wanted quick results. It kind of seals the whole narrative. The system works and it's successful because the people in it, the verified founders, are morally superior.
Okay, let's try to bring this all together in our conclusion. We
Yeah.
covered a lot of ground here. The main thing that stands out is just this profound paradox, isn't it?
Definitely. You have this large-scale, complex, technical process verification, KYC, the platform launch, but it's presented entirely as a spiritual event, a transition where, as the source puts it, God is saying, you have completed your preparation, now step into your purpose.
Step into your purpose.
Yeah. And if we try to connect this to the bigger picture, thinking about the implications, the way this absolute divine language is used, it must create just unparalleled loyalty among the founders.
Unshakable loyalty.
You have to think so. The ecosystem isn't just software, it's alive. Verification isn't compliance, it's divine selection. The result isn't profit, it's spiritual awakening. When you use language that absolute, that immutable, to describe what is essentially a corporate rollout,
It creates this incredibly strong bond.
an incredibly strong bond between the leadership and the community. It almost makes failure impossible to imagine. There can only be transitions, transformations, further tests of faith maybe, but not outright failure.
It's genuinely shocking, though, how complete the fusion is. Taking something like, server downtime or a mandatory ID check and turning it into a high spiritual test, it basically makes the company, the platform itself, synonymous with absolute divine truth.
It does seem to push in that direction, and the source material gives this final encouragement to the founders, right? Tells them to hold their heads high.
Yeah, it says they're not just logging into software, they're logging into destiny.
Logging into destiny, and that elevates their status one last time. You're not just a founder, you are a foundation.
A foundation. Confirming your divine calling by clicking confirm on a screen.
It's a complete identity shift, really, based on successfully getting verified. The psychological buy-in, the emotional investment, it ensures not just, financial compliance, but potentially absolute ideological compliance, too.
And the final summary of it all is so sharp. Verified,
Yeah.
victorious, ONPASSIVE.
Short, declarative, leaves no room for doubt. It concludes the movement will lead not because of money or power, but because its purpose is divinely approved.
So thinking about this for you, our listener, when you encounter sources like this, with such high stakes, such intense rhetoric, what does it all mean? We've seen this incredible power of language, how it can build community, sustain faith over long, uncertain periods. We've watched a corporate entity essentially use the language of salvation to describe its technology.
Which brings up a really important question, I think, for the future of online communities, digital platforms. When a company fuses its identity so totally with divine purpose, how does that change how members see risk, how they see competition, how they define success even?
Yeah, what are the implications when technology isn't just offering a solution anymore, but promising? Well, promising collective salvation.
It's a deep question.
It certainly gives us a fascinating case study in maintaining absolute loyalty, even when things take a long time or face outside criticism. You're not just buying a product here, you're apparently signing up for a destiny.
And that changes the whole relationship, doesn't it? That standard, often cold connection between a user and a tech product. And I think for anyone watching how digital communities evolve, this source is a powerful reminder. Sometimes the actual utility, how well the software works, that can be secondary to the belief, secondary to the story, the narrative structure that holds that belief together.
A miracle of return indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into what the source called the verified dawn of the new digital ecosystem.
Fascinating stuff.
We'll see you next time on the deep dive.
Experts. How to move ahead. This is what happened. This is our journey. This is what happened. This is where we are. And this is my vision where we want to go. That story was so inspiring to attract enough people, enough talent, as I said previously, to take us to where we want to go. Selectively, not like random staffing, all of that. So we're just about done or wrapping up the phase of ONPASSIVE as you know it. Now, not only we're going on the right track, with the right pace, with the right talent, and all of that, and character, most importantly, but we're going to the next level, upper level of ONPASSIVE. And it's definitely exciting to share all those updates with you as we progress. So that's why you really need to stay close in the coming days as we unveil all those developments and not so much about the past, but we're going to focus on what's coming. It's all perfect, in my opinion. It's all good. It couldn't be any better. In my humble estimate, it's a lot better than we thought. Personally, I see it because I think there's a force that took us to have this plummet, if you wish, in the last few months or so, that will make us reevaluate everything. So we make sure failure is not an option. We make no mistake. And this time we've got to crush it. We've got to nail it. And I think now I already have the evidence that we're capable of doing that. So I'm going to do what Redfern does. Okay, I'm going to recap in a more coherent way. And then he will do it in a more professional way. But I'm just going to try to give you the extract of what I said. We are coming back very soon to reopen ONPASSIVE as it is, at least to see your business is intact, everything where it's supposed to be. That's one thing. By tomorrow, we will know if we're gonna internally. I'm not saying I'm going to share this with you, possibly, but at least we will know if it's gonna be a brief transition between what we have now to the next phase of ONPASSIVE, or we kind of like make a wrap-up closure to the current phase of ONPASSIVE, sharing more details with you and giving you more light on what's coming ahead on the next chapter. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So the evolution is going up. We secured the recovery. Now we're going up. That's all I wanted to say for now, and I'm sorry for whatever is happening at the DeGarmo's home, but we will get through this, okay, no matter what.
Thank you,
Okay.
brother.
So that's been said. I want to see sometime today, maybe we will circle back with our leaders to, I'm talking about yourself. If it's possible today, we can try that, okay? So we can start brainstorming about which is more preferred scenario. Reopen, move directly to the next phase, or reopen, do the preparation and the wrap up of what we have and move on to the next. All right. I hope I made it understandable.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfectly, brother. I can see it
I
in
appreciate it.
your face, man. I can see the excitement. You're moving around like me on a crazy live. I definitely can see the excitement in your face.
Except the look.
Yeah, well,
Not like you. Yeah, maybe I have the gestures, but I still have way to go. Yeah.
I'm glad you're happy, man.
Working on it. Yeah.
You look really good too, man. You came out with just this intense excitement I'd never seen before, actually, and
Thank
you blew
you.
it out of the park. So I think all these founders